Good morning to you all. I've been Mr. Philip Ayok Kigun, the presenter and director of this course, Development of Resilient Transport Infrastructure in Africa. I've been on it for some weeks now, and I'm on Model 5.1, which is Transport Infrastructure and ZLECAF. ZLECAF is African Continental Free Trade Agreement in French. I'm here to present this model in continuation of other models that I've been presenting. And I always start with a summary of the presentation. My summary reads as introduction, road infrastructure in Africa, road density in Africa, asphalt roads, African rail network, country without railways, waterways summary, African road network, transport constraint along the corridors, PIDA vision. PIDA is program infrastructure development in Africa. And then we have the ZLECAF in French, meaning African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Then we have the conclusion. In introduction, we have a reality on ground for which this course will be best understood. The road transport infrastructure is an essential mode for travelers where 80% use the road and for freight making 90%. The road is the means of mobility of the present and the future. The road represents an important capital which has been built up over many years. It generally represents the only means of access to rural areas and constitutes the most flexible and appropriate mode in the economic and social life of countries or regions. Transport is one of the sectors of economic activity, and here it involves the rail, the road, the air, the sea, the river and lake, and pipeline. Transport is also an essential means for the realization of this production. Infrastructure generally constitutes essential elements to ensure the functioning and development economy. Their creation, which is part of land use planning, most often requires heavy investments. Then we have what we consider in this explanation or narrative of the course, a finding. Infrastructure is a key factor for economic growth. Infrastructure stimulates economic activity. It removes bottlenecks and has significant effect on growth and poverty reduction. Infrastructure are also effective on non-monetary poverty. Here, it helps improve nutrition, education, and social cohesion. Transport infrastructure, which in particular roads is used here as an example, constitute a sector with rhetorical overbeat in public discourse. The road to development goes through the development of the road, the driving force of development and exchanges. Road infrastructure in Africa, here is a statistic, and we sourced it from CIA World Fact Book 2015 / Ethiopian Road Authority. This was developed in 2013. This gives the length in kilometers of roads per year over a year spanning from 2000 to 2015. Then we have what we used as a measurement for change in percentage between 2000 and 2006, and also another presentation between 2000 and 2015. Here are the sub-regions for which these documents or data were based on. We have in Central Africa, in the year 2000, 677 kilometers of roads were built in Central Africa. In 2006, we have 475 kilometers of roads in Central Africa. In 2015, we had 287 kilometers of roads built in Central Africa. In East Africa, we have 445, 18,000 kilometers of road built in East Africa. In the year 2006, we have 476,558 kilometers of road built in East Africa. In 2015, we have 595,874 kilometers of roads built in East Africa. In North Africa, we have 292,790 kilometers of roads built in North Africa in 2000. We have 347,451 kilometers of road built in the year 2006 in North Africa. In 2015, 450 kilometers of roads were built in North Africa. South Africa has 751,000 kilometers built in the year 2000. 676,000 kilometers built in 2006. 1,055,682 kilometers of roads were built in 2015 in South Africa. In West Africa, we have in the year 2000, 377,000 kilometers of roads built. In 2006, 910,000 kilometers of roads were built in West Africa. In the year 2015, we have 851,000 kilometers of roads were also built in West Africa. Now, the percentage difference between 2000 and 2006 is that in Central Africa, we had 61.2%. Between 2006 and 2015, we had 24.23% minus 24.23% built in between 2006 and 2015. In 2006, the difference between 2000 and 2006 in East Africa was 7.9%, while in 2006 and 2015, we had 25.04% difference in East Africa. In North Africa, between 2000 and 2006, we had 18.67%. In 2006 and 2015, we had 29.93% difference. In Southern Africa, we had 6.48% difference between 2000 and 2006. And we had 23.66% between 2006 and 2015. In West Africa, we had 6.24% between 2000 and 2006 difference. And then in 2006 and 2015, we had 28.50% difference between 2006 and 2015 in West Africa. The total of roads built in 2000 for all the sub-regions, that is Central Africa, East Africa, North Africa, South Africa, West Africa, was 2,064,613 kilometers of roads. In the year 2006, we had 2,299,070 kilometers of roads built in all the 5 regions, as earlier mentioned. And then in 2015, we had a total number of 2,803,144 kilometers of road built in all of these regions, making a percentage difference in 2000 and 2006 for the total number of roads to be 11.36 kilometers. And the difference also, again, between 2006 and 2015 in percentage is 21.93%. Density of road by sub-region. The density in kilometer per 100 kilometers square. In 2000, in Central Africa, we had 3.83 kilometers square. In 2006, we had 6.17 kilometers square. In 2015, we have 4.68 kilometer. Percentage difference between 2000 and 2006 is 61.10. and difference between 2006 and 2015 is minus 24.15%. Now, in summary, the total is that in 2000, a total number in density, kilometer per 100 kilometers square, is that the roads built, the density of roads, sorry, in all the regions is 6.84 kilometer. In 2006 is 7.61 kilometer. In 2015 is 10.32 kilometer, and the percentage difference is 11.26 kilometer, while 35.61 is between 2006 and 2015. Asphalt roads in kilometer. These are the roads built in kilometer, asphalt roads built in kilometer between the whole 5 sub-regions as presented between 2000, 2006, and 2015. And then we also have the changes in percentage from 2000 to 2006, 2006 to 2015, and we also have 2000 to 2015. Asphalt road in percentage, like I present, this is all the presentation too. In 2000, the percentage presentation for roads built in 2000, 2006, and 2015, 2000 to 2006, 2006 to 2015, 2000 to 2015, changes in percentage. African Rail Network. These are the countries that this railway network were researched or surveyed on, and the length in kilometer standard gauge. Then we have length in kilometer narrow way. And then the countries that made up these areas of survey include Senegal, Botswana, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritania, Ethiopia, Guinea, Ivory Coast, Gabon, Burkina Faso, Mauritania again, Tunisia, Republic of Congo, Benin, Liberia, Eritrea, Switzerland, South Sudan, Djibouti. All these works were done in kilometer for standard gauge and narrow way. And they are presented on this table. The source is still same, CIA World Facts Book 2015. Countries without railway. We have Burundi, Green Cap, Central African Republic, Chad, Comoros, Equatorial Guinea, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Lesotho, Libya, Mauritius, Niger, Rwanda, Sao Tome and Principe, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Somalia. Summary of waterways. At least 5 of the 7 countries of Central Africa have inland waterways. These countries are Equatorial Guinea and Sao Tome and Principe. They have no inland ways. Chad and Congo each have 2 inland waterways. At least 7 rivers are navigable in Central Africa. At least 6 of the 14 East African countries have inland waterways. 10 of the 15 West African countries have inland waterways. 3 of the 7 Maghreb countries have inland waterways. 4 of the 11 Southern African countries have inland waterways. And 6 of the 16 landlocked countries do not have waterways. They are all presented in that way. And then you'll find our record straight in this presentation. The African Road Network, TAR, Trans-Example African Highway, TAR, was created in the early 70s to create direct road links, linking the capitals of the continent, and also to contribute to political, economic, and social integration and cohesion in Africa. Provide road transport facilities between major production areas and consumption areas. The latest version of TAR is shown on the map in the following slide. Here is a map of Africa showing the Trans-African highways. You can see the map is depicted with different colors, and all the colors shows distance covered in road from different countries. We have TAR number 1, Cairo to Dakar, TAR number 2, Algiers to Lagos, TAR number 3, Tripoli to Windhoek to Cape Town, TAR number 4 is Cairo, Gaborone to Cape Town, TAR number 5 is Dakar in N'Djamena, TAR number 6 is in N'Djamena, Djibouti, TAR number 7 is Dakar to Lagos, TAR number 8 is Lagos, Mombasa, TAR number 9 is Beira, Lobito, and TAR number 10 is Libreville to Djibouti. So you are all seeing this in all our presentation and statistics. So it makes the understanding of this module very easy and acceptable. Now we have a vision for this transport network, and it's tagged PIDA transport vision. Like I earlier told you, PIDA is Program Infrastructure Development in Africa. It will work towards an integrated continent where transport infrastructure and services enable the free movement of goods and people. This by improving links between Africa capitals and major centers, which are thanks to modern paved roads and modern rail networks. The vision in PIDA in continuation is by meeting the demand for African Regional Transport Network, ARTIN, infrastructure at the lowest economic cost, giving priority to landlocked countries while minimizing the environmental impact of transport infrastructure and services. By developing modern ARTIN corridors, including ports of entry and air transport services to bring the performance of ARTIN components up to global best practice in terms of efficiency, cost, reliability, and of safety. Nowhere are Africa's terrible inefficiencies more glaring than in the African regional transport infrastructure network, designed to link major trading centers with each other, as well as with the rest of the world through modern and efficient networks and platforms. PIDA's assessment of the transport sector in Africa found that the total economic cost of ARTIN's inefficiencies was $172 billion US. These inefficiencies include the cost of corridor transport and air transport, as well as the cost of discouraged air transport and freight demand. The implementation of PIDA will help to solve this problem. It will allow African leaders to speak with one voice and define common goals. PIDA provides decision makers with a ready list of priorities for addressing physical infrastructure needs and intangible aspects of governance. Above all, PIDA is based on a common vision of regional integration and on a long-term program that will support the objectives of the Abuja Treaty of the African Union, AU. PIDA will enable countries to, 1, reduce the cost of energy and expand access to it, drastically reduce transport costs and stimulate intra-African trade, ensure food security and that of the water supply, and also increase connectivity through road network. To facilitate trade between countries in the same sub-region, it is necessary to have not only adequate transport infrastructure, but also competitive and reliable transport services. However, these two conditions can only be truly met to the extent permitted by the legal framework that governs their operation. Likewise, the objective of better integration of regional economies will not only be served by the harmonization of national policies, but also, if not more, by the development, ratification, and application of legal instruments. Here, multilateral scope, which in sub-regional, continental, and up to the international scale, these instruments form the necessary framework for the sustainable development of trade that generates growth and jobs. Africa offers a clear example of this situation. Its sub-region, from east to west, spare no effort to forge institutional and economic links, promote trade, and stimulate economic growth. The existence of 16 landlocked countries further reinforced the need to codify the rules governing trade between coastal states and landlocked states on the continent, so that the latter can benefit from easier access to external markets. This is why, in addition to the numerous efforts made to promote regional integration on the continent, attention must also be paid to the legal instrument in force in Africa to facilitate transport and trade flows between countries and regions. In understanding this model, we have to look at certain agendas or blueprints as they were convened with a milestone target. Here we have an agenda tag, Agenda 2063. In Agenda 2063, it is Africa's blueprint for transforming the continent into the world power of the future. These are based on policies and targets for which they want to develop Africa. It is the continent's strategic framework which aims to achieve its objective of inclusive and sustainable development. It is a concrete manifestation of the Pan-African desire for union, self-determination, freedom, progress, and collective prosperity pursued within the framework of Pan-Africanism and the African Renaissance. The agenda is for Africans from various social backgrounds, and the diaspora agreed that the AU's vision of building an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, which led and managed by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force on the international stage, that represent the fundamental guide for the future of the African continent. The agenda was developed through an important process of consultation with the various African stakeholders without exception. It is an agenda that was also developed on the basis of an in-depth review of the African development experiences, as well as a review of national plans, regional and continental frameworks. The continental plans and frameworks provided guidance on development priorities and therefore played an important role in shaping the Agenda 2063, especially in the elaboration of the first 10-year implementation plan. The continent has made notable progress in the implementation of some flagship African Union projects, AU. Despite these notable advances, the flagship projects are experiencing different levels of maturation and implementation, due in particular to the non-availability of funding, the absence of detailed feasibility studies, the lack of qualified personnel or project team, dedicated and non-ratification by some member states. Even if delays are recorded in the implementation of this agenda, efforts have been made for the launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Why regional trade integration is vital for Africa? The particular geographical characteristic of the African continent made regional integration a pressing need. Many countries are landlocked. Many countries have low population densities. Rural communities are often isolated. Distance from major markets are there also as a factor. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement, this initiative of the African Union, which seems to bring hope for local economies, nevertheless present many challenges that African countries must face. Removing some barriers will not with a magic stick take off the African economy and ensure its sustainable development. In order for the removal of custom barriers to have the desired effect, several issues must first be resolved. These issues are loss of time at borders posts. For example, see photo as presented. Here you can see due to the presence or operations of customs who are manned on our borders to look at issues pertaining import and export, are doing their job, and you can see how they have put vehicle or articulated vehicles that are importing goods into or exporting goods into different destinations are being checked to see if they comply with the policy of customs. This is another representation. As you can see, these are all captured at the border location at different countries. The implementation of the African trade area are of several types and capable of slowing it down or hampering it. They are, among others, political, legal, infrastructural, financial, and security. The challenges linked to will, in view of past experience and resolution aimed at the development of the continent, the NEPAD, the financing of the activities of the African Union, and the unfinished integration of the sub-regions in Africa are examples. This lack of political will manifest itself through national road agencies, which should be actively involved in regional projects, political figures who must be involved in regional projects as champions, e.g. the PICI. The PICI is represented as the Presidential Infrastructure Champion Initiative. National experts who should be more involved in the preparation of regional projects. This lack of political will is manifesto through regional projects which must be prioritized in national plans with funds allocated for this purpose, popularized through a good awareness and communication, campaign on their advantages at the national level and concretized by political decision, national experts who need to know their sub-regions better. Above all, it is also essential to use domestic resources to fund regional projects and create a dedicated project team in each country with an oversight role. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement, where here the significant economic obstacles are seen in terms of infrastructure. The lack of communication channels between the countries of the continent can be a considerable obstacle for the continental free trade area. Getting from one country to another is not often easy. The harassment at border posts, abnormal practices along the corridors constitute significant blocking factors to encourage exchanges. Infrastructure obstacles. Some regional economic communities have already made progress in this area by creating roads to link the various capitals. For example, in West Africa, with the almost completed 4,500 kilometer West Trans-African Coastal Highway connecting Nouakchott, Mauritania to Lagos, Nigeria, and railways such as the one linking Addis Ababa, Ethiopia to Djibouti in East Africa, but much remains to be done in terms of roads, railways, and air connection. Without this communication infrastructure between countries, exchanging goods and services will remain wishful thinking. The table on the following page summarizes the state of the missing links for a physical integration of Africa. The table is sourced from National Infrastructure Diagnosis, a report of 2009. Here we have large hydroelectric installation, electric transmission in megawatts, road repairs in kilometer, liaison fiber optics in kilometer. We have Central Africa, East Africa, South, where is all this represents the installations, transmissions, the repairs in roads, and fiber optics in kilometers and megawatts. We also have a graph where some of these findings are presented, and this is it as presented in the graphical presentation. In practice, integration is a multifaceted process characterized by an intensification of trade movement with the removal of obstacles within a regional bloc, a common external tariff, and mobility of factors of production. Abnormal practices and non-tariff barriers are all obstacles that can hamper the very existence of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement to come to be. It can also take the form of cooperation projects carried out by governmental or non-governmental actors, by the coordination of economic or social policies, and by the establishment of rules or transfer of sovereignty with institutional structure of the federal type. In view of these ambitions, already carried by the founding fathers of the African Union, the challenges to be met are of considerable magnitude. The challenges can be assimilated to the following issues. Issue number one, here we have to synchronize the regional economic communities. Challenge number two is that exit primary specialization. Challenge number three is to rely on market dynamics. Issue number four is to remove abnormal practices. And the challenge number five is to intensify local content. 6 is define the rules of origin, where issue number 7 is to intensify convergence. Issue number 8 is to create spaces of solidarity. Issue number 9 is to rationalize relations outside the Continental Free Trade Agreement. And then issue number 10 is meeting the logistical challenges. The principle of success of the African Free Trade Agreement is that the principle of coordination, according to this principle, the policies and development plans implemented by the different member states of the region must be compatible. This compatibility allows the various projects undertaken in the community space to be consistent with the regional integration process. It is therefore absolutely necessary to coordinate policies in order to avoid inconsistencies and contradictions which could jeopardize the creation of a community economy. The principle of harmonization, considered as one of the fundamental principles of the economy of the community institutions, the objective of the principle of harmonization is to create in community space a relatively homogeneous zone, which we give thanks to the establishment of a system similar in all member countries. The convergence principle. Here, the objective of this principle is to reduce the differences and imbalances that exist between the member countries of the region. In economic work, the concept of convergence has long been used to describe the process by which lower income countries should catch up with high income countries. This is the conclusion of this presentation, and the first findings are not encouraging, no, but indeed there are 54 African nations that have committed to join the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. But of the 33 countries that have ratified the agreement so far, many do not have the customs procedure and infrastructure necessary to facilitate free trade, that is exchange. That is the discouraging part of our findings. It must be recognized that the scope of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement will remain very small, and it will take time for the effects to be really felt, because some countries do not have adequate roads and equipment for customs authorities at the border to facilitate the rapid and efficient transit of goods. The infrastructure, both flexible and material, is lacking. And thirdly, the time taken for countries to bring their national laws into conformity with the requirement of the agreement is likely to be for too long. Here is my presentation of the module, and I say thank you again for listening. Also keep in mind that I encourage that you interact by asking questions where you find out, and we are ready to provide the answers to questions as you present. Once again, I say thank you for listening.